Greetings! This is Imaduck, and you're watching Quack Poker Episode 3. That's right, we've made it to big episode number 3 here. Once again, just playing some 5 cent, 10 cent, no limit hold'em on lovely, lovely juicy stakes. As you can see, here we are. Starting off in the big blind with 4-3 suited. Some suited connectors for us. So yeah, I just sat down at this table, but it looks like I've played with a couple of these players to the right of me before. Here I think it's fine to check. If this were a slightly stronger suited connector, I might raise here. But since I don't know this player, I think it's just worth a check here. And then here I don't mind just leading out. We've got a nice draw, so if he's got a made hand, this will help us build the pot. Interesting to see him raise there. There are possibly sixes in his range, but I don't think there's any way we can fold here with the flush draw. We're just going to have to proceed a bit cautiously. Okay, so we make our flush and actually make a straight flush draw here. The question here now is, do we check or do we bet? Honestly, here I'm not totally confident in what the answer is. I'm just going to check here for now and see what he does. Actually, now that I kind of think of it, I kind of like betting better, though, because I don't... If he's raising there with, like, he's got the ace of diamonds or something like that, which I guess is possible, then we kind of want to make him pay for it. And that being said, I think I'm going to raise him back here. And just because if he is on some sort of diamond draw now, that could be problematic for us. He could have a 6 as well, in which case I think he'll call, which is good for us, obviously, since we're ahead there, as long as the board doesn't pair. I have to think about that hand some more. I'm not totally sure what I think he had there. Of course, we don't know anything about this player, and he is open limping, which usually means he's not the greatest player in the world. So that might have just been some attempt at a bluff there. Maybe he did have the 6 and sniffed out the issue, or maybe he had a 9, or maybe he had some small pair. I mean, it could have been I think there were a lot of hands he could have had there. The way he played that, I guess, given that he folded, it's probably his most likely hand was an underpair there. So something like pocket 7s, pocket 6, pocket 5s. Well, not pocket 6s, but pocket 5s, etc. Maybe something like that. But really, I think he could have had a lot of hands in that situation. So it's hard to say. I'm going to go ahead and raise it up here with a suited queen. And we get a caller here, and we get just your standard sort of c-bet flop. I mean, obviously, this is one of the situations where you normally probably wouldn't necessarily c-bet, since we don't really have much equity in this hand. Like, even if we make our queen here, it doesn't really do anything for us. Like, we still have to worry, if he calls us. That being said, I mean, I don't know. We don't know much about this player. He might be the sticky type. When he leads out like that, I'm inclined to think he's got something, like maybe an 8, maybe just a 3. I don't know. It's really rough. Or maybe a king. I'm really not sure what that lead out there means. It's kind of a weird play. But we're just going to go ahead and fold it. It's an especially strange play since he's seen us already be a little bit aggressive. I mean, obviously he doesn't have much information on it, but it's kind of weird for him to feel like he needs the lead out there when we've already kind of shown ourselves to be aggressive. And if he did have a hand there, we're often bluffing at that. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird play for him. Kind of makes me think maybe he didn't have anything, since he has kind of been taking some stabs already, I guess. But just a few hands in. These are just kind of things that you want to float around in the back of your head, but you don't necessarily, have a good read on it yet. All right. Fold it in the big blind here, which means this is a great time to pull out our beer of the week. This is a very interesting beer. So it's from New Belgium Brewery. You probably know them from Fat Tire, and they've got some other popular beers as well. But this is their special Lips of Faith series. They're these beers that come in nice big bottles, and you can probably get them. They're still pretty widely distributed. And they come out, I think they only usually do them for about a year or so, or maybe seasonal or maybe less, but you'll see them floating around all over the place at any craft brew place. This one is done with New Belgium and Red Rock Brewery, and it's called Paardebloem or something. I don't know. Maybe you can read that. I have no idea what they're getting at there. But it says it's an ale brewed with peach juice, grains of paradise, I don't know what that means, dandelion greens, blended with wood-aged beer. So it's just got all sorts of craziness going on, and it is 9% alcohol by volume. So this just sounded like a very fun beer, and this one you probably, like I said, can get your hands on if you look around a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. But we do have a hand to play first, except we're not, almost certainly not playing this hand here. Maybe if everybody calls, we might call, but probably not. No, I don't think we would even then. So I'm just going to let that go. So that's the first time we've seen Bolt Slayer raise there, so worth keeping in mind, I guess. But again, not a lot of hands on him just yet, so we'll see what that means. So of course I'm pouring into a nice New Belgian Fat Tire glass. And ooh, it is a pretty nice golden color here. Look at that, woo. Smells pretty good. Actually, I don't get, I kind of expected to get a lot of fruity smells. I get a little bit of the peach out of it. I've had like one other beer that had dandelion in it. I forget who it was. I think it was maybe Magic Hat did one with dandelion. And that one you couldn't really taste. I mean, you would have had to just tell me that it has dandelion in it. I didn't really taste anything special about it. This one I don't smell anything that tells me dandelion, but I smell a bit of peach in it. I don't know what wood-aged beer, what they're meaning by that, but we'll see. And I have no idea what grains of paradise are. I could have done some research here, but that's not what we do on this show. All right, we'll be folding the Queen 5 here. I think it was worth completing there, just because I think we have a skill edge on this guy, and we want to see a few more hands, and it was cheap, and can't be that bad, right? All right. Interesting. So I got the peach flavor out of this. There is kind of a greeny flavor out of it. It says it uses dandelion greens, and yeah, I don't know. There is something interesting going on there. Yeah, it's just kind of a sweet, fruity flavor, pretty light. Little bit of an aftertaste. Again, when they say wood-aged beer, I mean, I assume that they blended it with wood-aged beer. I don't even know what that means. It's yeah, it's hard to say what that means by it, but I think it's very tasty, kind of fruity, kind of summery beer. This would be a nice little beer to have outside on a hot summer day. Nice, cool, refreshing, and as long as you like peach and you like beers with a little fruitiness to them, we're gonna fold the 9 King here. I think 9 King's not a bad hand to play with, but we haven't seen this guy raise very many hands. He's raising here under the gun. We do have position, so it's really debatable. Like King 10 I'm probably calling with. King 9 I think is a little too weak, though, so I'm going to go ahead and drop it here. Yeah, but anyway, nice little fruity beer. If you like sort of fruityish beers, which I do, a lot of beer snobs don't. I like all kinds of beer, really. But fruity beers are pretty fun. They can be a lot of fun, and they're very nice to drink in the summer and all that. I would recommend getting this. It's, again, part of the Lips of Faith series, so you probably only see it around this year. From New Belgium and Red Rock, called, and then Paardebloem or something. The one with the weird name that says it has dandelions in it. And it's got pictures of dandelions on the bottle. Alright, we've got the 9-8 here. I think I'll just fold it. Playing a little tight today, I guess. I mean, we can't really rely on, like, the last table we knew we could just pound away, and we get a lot of folds, and so there was a lot of equity in just raising every time pre-flop. This, I mean, it's a decent hand. It could be worthwhile to raise it here, especially against players we're going to have position on that are bad. Yeah, I could talk myself into raising there, but it's really not bad to fold it either. It can't be too bad either way. I know you're pretty confused after you've seen me play much worse hands and much worse spots, but, whatever. Sometimes you just want to play a little tighter, right? All right. Jack Queen suited here. We got some suited Broadway connectors. Oh, we are not folding this hand. We're going to start with a little raise. Again, I've started now from middle position, raising up to 25 cents. Sorry if I missed that sometimes, too. Sometimes I got so used to my min raise from everywhere strategy that sometimes I just get a little jump the gun and just do my min raise. It's so easy to min raise. They need like more buttons down here for like raise 2x, 2.5, 3x. Just make every denomination down here. I don't like using that stupid slider bar. Yeah, here we flop a open ender, and it's a fairly wet board too, so like we can maybe get him some money in and then stack him off if he's got like I don't know, ace king or something like that. Being a little optimistic here, but there's really just no reason not to bet here. This also, I mean, with the king there, it represents a lot of our range too. So it's got some fold equity, and we've got some equity in the straight draw. I don't see any reason not to continue betting here. We don't know anything about this player yet, but he certainly could have like a 10 and be afraid of us having a king here and just betting and betting, or it could have a made hand and we still have some equity in our straight draw here. Every once in a while, hitting a jack or a queen on the river is good, um, you know. But I think we played that fine there. I mean, not. I think that play's probably pretty obvious there. You just want to bet, just keep the pressure on and all that. And we've got a decent hand at that point, so not bad. We also had the backdoor flush draw on the flop. I didn't mention that. But like Jay Carver style, going to mention every possibility. And we have we have two overcards, the second pair as well. Come on. Look at all that equity we had there. So it looks like this was a limped pot, I think. And now we got this guy going out betting pot. Still trying to understand what the aggression means from this guy here. I mean, he certainly is taking lots and lots of stabs. And so he just seems to be very stabby in general. So we're going to see if we can try to take advantage of that at some point. Meaning we'll let him do a lot of the betting for us when we make made hands. If we think he's pretty weak, we can just, check to him and let him bluff. This is interesting. I mean, this guy's just kind of been all over the place. Again, we've only seen 12 hands with him, but he just seems to be kind of going crazy right now. We've got the jack ace in the big blind. This guy raises from under the gun. This is the first time we've seen him raise. There's just too much action from these like nitty players here for me to, or not really nitty, but like loose pre-flop, just callers here that I really don't want to try to get in with this hand. Because like ace queens in their range, ace kings in their range, along with a lot of made hands that are just already ahead of us. And we're going to be out of position. Just doesn't feel good. Plus, this guy's being so stabby, like we're not going to know what it means just yet. If ace hits, we're not going to feel great about it. And if he starts like potting, whatever. And as we see, we're right. Look at that. He shows us that we were in fact right. This guy's got ace queen here, which, yeah, again, it tends to be a lot of these people who open limp a lot. When they raise, it means something very, very big, and that's the only time they're comfortable with raising is when they've got a big hand like that. So, not very surprising to see him show up with the ace queen there. So we smelled that. We knew what was going on there. Who knows what Bolt Slayer had there? Because again, he has been very stabby. All right. I think I'm fine with actually raising it on up here against this limper. We've got a solid hand. We're going to be out of position, so we want to punish him a little bit for him calling so light all the time. It kind of sucks, though. I guess one thing to mention is that because his stack is kind of short, we can't feel great about like our flush draw here, but I am going to go ahead and throw a bet out here, and we're going to see what happens. I think it's still certainly good. Just go ahead and c-bet, see if he folds. Again, we don't have much information on him, so right now we're still kind of in the testing phase with these guys anyway, so I'm fine with taking stabs at them, c-betting most flops, just to try and get a feel for, are they kind of guys who are going to check raise me all the time? Are they going to kind of guys who are going to, do they have a super high fold to c-bet percentage? Whatever. Here, again, we could, try to isolate Bolt Slayer here, but I mean, King 6 or Queen 6 isn't the greatest of hands, although it would be a fine hand with this flop, but So I think it's going to be like Bolt Slayer and Big Ruby just limping every hand here. Which is one thing you'll notice. I've been talking a lot about these two players, and it's mostly because so far they've basically been in every single hand. Plus, this guy's been so stabby. So, like when you're, ideally, of course, you want to be considering every single player at all times. But when you're really thinking about the play of players, the ones you want to focus on the most are the ones who are playing the most, which are these two guys right here, and also specifically the players who look like they're the worst players at the table, which again look like these two guys right here. The rest of these guys seem very tight. Bolt Slayer here, goes like bet, bet call, and then he shoves that river there, which, yeah, it was super wet, and it did kind of feel like he had the made flush. So let's look at that action now that we see a showdown with Bolt Slayer here and see if we can figure out what he's thinking about here. So he open limps with 9-10 in under the gun, which is silly, and gets a bunch of folds, and then Big Ruby checks. Big Ruby checks. He bets with the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he had the made straight on the flop. Okay. Then the 9 comes. He bets. He gets a call. And then on the river here, we get Big Ruby just shoving when the board makes the straight. Kind of an interesting spot because it's very possible that Big Ruby is just playing the board there. And so, like, that's a very profitable shove for him, right? I mean, he's basically free rolling at that point if he feels like Bolt Slayer doesn't have the jack or whatever, which is, a pretty good guess at that point. I mean, there's no reason to think he doesn't have the jack, but I mean, there kind of is, just because the way he's playing, he's saying he has a hand, and most of the hands where he's gonna have that have connected with the flop and the turn aren't going to have a jack in them. So when the river comes, Big Ruby here knows that, okay, there's a good chance Bolt Slayer is playing the board, and so if he just shoves here, he's free rolling it, and Bolt Slayer just folds it here because he doesn't want to play the board. And so that's a pretty good move, I think, because most of the time he's going to be playing the board. I think I sounded pretty jumbled there, but you guys got the message, I'm sure. Point being, if that was a bluff by Big Ruby, I think it was a pretty good bluff. And I'm not convinced that Big Ruby had the jack. I mean, we really don't know anything about Big Ruby's hand, other than he's been kind of passive post-flop, so his shove there is kind of scary. But, at the same time, I think there's enough equity there that Bolt Slayer just has to call, even with just playing the board. Most of the time, I think. But I also tend to call a lot more than I should, so, But we'll never know what the truth was about that. Of course, Bolt Slayer got coolered pretty bad there, flopping the straight and not getting anything out of it. Of course, the other question is, like, what was Big Ruby calling with there? And again, I mean, I would have guessed, like, some sort of pair or something, but it's really hard to tell because he just checked from the big blind. I would have guessed some sort of big pair there or something like that. But he may have also had the straight draw or something like that. But I just kind of don't think he has the jack there. I think he doesn't have the jack enough at the time. The call is fine there. I want to be sitting on like a porch with that beer. It's excellent. Just sitting on a porch in a hot summer day. So we flop a gut shot here. I think we're going to check call here, I think is fine. I could have bet there. I think a check call is all right here. But I'm kind of wanting to just see what Bolt Slayer does here. A bet is also fine leading out there. He makes the bet fairly large, which feels kind of bluffy to me. But right now, again, we're just kind of testing things out, seeing what he's doing here. It's a pretty wet flop, so I mean, yeah, he certainly could have connected. But when he's playing, tons and tons of hands, who knows what's going on here? Just kind of interested to see what he does here. And it's not costing us much to get this information. So he bets pot again here, or close to pot. Probably just have to give up. Again, I don't think me calling on the flop there is necessarily a winning play. I'm just more kind of interested to see what he's doing here. See how often he's doing this. Of course, we can get that information by watching him more hands and stuff like that, but it really was pretty cheap, and if he gave up on the turn, then we know we're probably pretty good to bet on the river there. But we are seeing, his aggression factor is like 11. I mean, he is just betting all over the place. So maybe if I was more focused there, I could just say, no, just lay that down on the flop or lead out on the flop. So two of the tighter players, we get a bet, then we get a 3-bet, call, all right. So Fly Donk Fly is saying that he does in fact have a hand. It's very possible he's got aces or kings there. I mean, and that's kind of what you're repping when you make that big bet on the flop there. It makes it pretty scary. And I mean, that's not going to connect with way too many of Bounce's potential hands in that situation. Maybe if he's got ace queen or something like that, or if he's got some suited spade hand or something like that. But obviously here it did not. I think the C bet there for fly donk fly is probably fine. Maybe that bet was a little bit bigger than I normally would make it, but not too much. All right. Here, I think we're okay with folding. This guy's preflop raise is 14%. Opening from middle position. Yeah, he's probably got a better hand than us. And he has us dominate a decent amount of time. I know, we're folding aces on the button. It's madness. Go ahead and open here with a suited one gapper. Zavaraya. What is this? That is quite a name there. Zavaraya. Zavareka. I'm going to fold the suited queen. Got some strange name here from Culver City. But I guess I've played a bit with him before. Seems, very taggy. 0% fold C-bet, eh? Oh, only from one hand, though. Yeah, so again, I'm still just paying attention mostly to looser players, though we lost one of them here. But Bolt Slayer still is playing just about every hand, so we'll keep an eye on him. 6-Jack obviously is just going to get the big fold here. It's a tough laydown, I know. Nothing crazy exciting this session, but we'll see what happens. Pocket sevens here, don't plan on folding. Tempting just to raise here. He's pretty tight. I think I'm just going to call, but this is one of those situations I think where my game is a little weak and that I'm not sure how often you want to be raising in that spot. Because now we're kind of a weird position when he bets here. I mean, I think if he bets here, I'm just going to call because I don't think he's connected much here. Of course, he doesn't bet here. Just kind of surprising looking at how aggressive he's been. But maybe he's just playing pretty straightforwardly. And if he's playing pretty straightforwardly, then we want to just try to push him out of this hand because he probably just has 2 overcards at this point. Yeah, there we go. And we don't, we want to punish him if he does happen to be on any draw, but I kind of doubt even that. So he probably just had 2 overcards at that point, and he just didn't connect enough with that flop. He also could have had some small pair or something that wasn't really doing anything there. All right. We got an ace on the button. Not the best ace in the world, but, it'll do. Although we get punished with a 3-bet here. I mean, really can't do anything with the ace-deuce here. Maybe if it was ace-deuce suited, maybe. But no, not doing anything there. One thing I'll say too is with Bolt Slayer calling everything, we might want to think a little bit more about our bet sizing because we could just tighten up our range a whole lot and really focus on isolating them a whole lot and make our pre-flop bets really big so that we usually have the better hand and he's paying a lot just to see a flop with a hand that's probably worse than ours. Here 30, I think 36 cents will accomplish what we want to accomplish here. Force out any hands that didn't hit this, just work as our basic C-bet. With fly donk fly, calling there, I think it's fairly unlikely that we continue on the turn. We do flop a gut shot. We could make one more stab here. I'm kind of fine with making a stab here, actually. What hand is he really repping there? I mean, he's playing fairly tight. He is on the button. He could have some weak whatever. But when he calls the second time, I think I'm pretty convinced he's got the queen. He could have a failed draw as well. If he's got a failed draw, I mean, if he bluffs that, it's going to kind of suck for us, so we could have bet at it. I don't know. That's kind of a weird spot for me, but I think most of the time we're just giving up here. I think this could very easily be a bluff. It smells kind of like a bluff because, like, why is he betting so big here? This kind of feels like a failed heart draw. Almost want a hero call, but I mean, he could still have like a 7 of hearts and still be beating us. Yeah, I don't know. I guess not. I don't know. That's really close there. I'm not sure what I think about that hand. Like, it really, and I could have led that river just so we didn't even have a question of whether or not this was a failed flush draw. And I kind of think that maybe would be better there just to 3-barrel the whole thing. Yeah, I'm kind of regretting it now. I think this situation is really where you want to just 3-barrel it because it's like, okay, we bet the flop, he calls. So when he calls this flop, he's got like a heart draw. He's made the 10 or the queen with something. Or maybe he has like a straight draw. I guess that is very possible, and he made his hand there. But I don't know, kind of unlikely. I think most of the time he's either got the heart draw or he's either got the heart draw or like a queen or a 10. I'm going to open a little loose here with the a7 suited under the gun. So we got 2 tight guys in the blinds here. Yeah, I don't know. I'd really have to kind of run this through and do a full analysis on it to really say for sure if we're better off just leading that river. Because you could see how much I wanted to call on that river, like, because he makes that bet there, but that bet is so large that, we really have to be right a lot of the time. So if we go ahead and lead there, we can lead for a smaller amount, and he's almost never going to call us or, try to, like, bluff raise us or anything off of that, because we've done nothing but show strength there. So I don't think that would have been unreasonable to go ahead and lead out on the river there, just 3-barrel it. Because that would also get him off any 10s and might get him off some queens too, and get off just all of his failed draws. I'm okay with putting a little money in the pot here, seeing what happens. We've got a pair, not the best pair in the world, and we've got the gut shot, of course. So, I mean, with that hand, I'm okay with putting money in there just because we don't want, if Bolt Slayer just checks there and we see another free card, then it makes it pretty unlikely that we're going to have the best hand as more cards come out, because now you have 2 players who can draw to over pairs and those sorts of things. So, yeah, I'm okay with just leading out on not that hand, but the last hand we just did. And we've got some equity, even if we're beat and all that good stuff. This hand. Alright. Again, could like try to isolate this guy, but not with 10-4, 10-4 radio. Not strong enough to do so. Yeah, I still haven't gotten a great read on exactly what Bolt Slayer is doing. Not surprised to see a pot size bet from him there, since, he just does seem very, very stabby in general. Just any time he doesn't see anyone else betting, he seems to be laying down a bet. We're going to go ahead and call with the 9-8 here. It's a hand that plays pretty well against undergun raised from a tightish player, because we're rarely going to be dominated, and we can get some flops and things that are really good for our hand, and we can get a lot of money in. This flop is not great for us, and if he c-bets here, we're just going to fold. Yeah, definitely. We got a 3 straight, but no, not good enough. We can let this one go. Well, we would have gotten to an open-ender. That would have been a little bit better for us, but I still wouldn't feel very good. So Bolt Slayer, I don't know what Bolt Slayer's calling with here. But Z, as we're going to call him, is certainly representing a good bit of strength. He could certainly have, a lot of big pocket pairs. Could certainly have ace queen there. Or it could just be double barreling with ace king or something like that. Could easily have some sort of, jack queen, king queen sort of hand. I mean, really, it's just a lot there. No reason not to believe him. Not totally sure what Bolt Slayer had in that position. And that he could have had a diamond draw, but I kind of would have figured he would continue with that, being how collie and stabby, or he might even raise with that or something like that. Aces here. I think we're gonna raise. Cutting edge strategy here. Raise under the gun with aces. Even Bolt Slayer knows you raise under the gun with aces. But yeah, that's kind of the expected outcome, right? All right. If Bolt Slayer, no. If we get another call here, maybe we'll call. We're gonna see a flop. We're playing a little crazy today. That is an interesting flop for us. And check it over to this guy. Another name I can't pronounce. Bach. I don't know. I think it's fine to start with a call here. We've got the flush draw, backdoor straight, that sort of thing. Check over this guy again. Here's where we could potentially raise, although our flush draw probably isn't strong enough to warrant the raise here. I think we're just going to fold here. Just don't have enough going on. The 10's not that great. Even if we make our flush, if we're calling here, we really have to be calling expecting some equity, that if we make our flush, we're going to get more chips in the pot. And we probably aren't unless, maybe if he has, either he has a better flush for us and we just lose, or maybe he has like 7, 8, 9 of clubs or something like that. One of those cards, then maybe like he'll call some river bet if a club comes along. But it's very possible we're beat with even if the club does come, and most of the time the club doesn't come, and even if a queen comes in the river, there's a decent chance that we don't have the best hand. So, yeah, I think the call on the flop is fine, just because we don't know if he's going to continue, and I think you have to kind of fold that turn there. Maybe you can get fancy by doing some funky 3-bet there, but I don't think so. If we had a better club, maybe, or if we had like a made pair or something too, or anything other than what we had, which also could be a reason to maybe fold on that flop. Pocket fours, we're gonna raise it up. Get a 3-bet from this guy. I mean, we've seen him 3-bet a little bit before. I think all of our 3-button options here are fine. I think, though, calling is better than folding. I think raising is an option since we've seen this guy 3-bet so crazy before. But we definitely don't intend on getting it in if we do. But I am going to try the raise here. Going a little crazy, but we've seen him, 3-bet kind of a lot, kind of testing him just to see what he does here. And I think the price isn't too bad. I think he folds enough, so that it makes it worth it in the end. We don't have, I'm talking about his 3-bet percentage, but we really, it's only based off of 3 bets, so you really can't, tell anything by that. it's not great statistics at that point. But I think it's fine. I think if he just smooth calls there, we do have some equity. If like a 4 comes or something like that, then we're probably getting all the chips in. If he smooth calls there. Oh, sorry, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Um, Here, I think we're okay with just a check first. That was a pretty good turn for us. And, so we could just smooth call this here, but, I mean, seeing as we're already at the turn and we want to get some more chips in the pot, I'm going to start with a small raise here. Smallish raise. See what he does with it. We're kind of hoping he has an ace at this point. Certainly, if we just call here, he's going to be probably, betting on the river as well. So that's kind of the reason for calling here is like if we assume that most of the time when he takes these stabs, he's got a crappy hand that he's going to barrel on the river, then it's kind of worth it. Yeah. And certainly, though, like in that hand, if he's got the ace, which he very well might, given how he's been playing, if he's got the ace there, then that's really good for us because he's probably going to call us there. Meant to make that 25, not 20, but given our hand, it's probably better as a 20. It's also, foldable hand, but whatever. And we get punished. Yeah, we can't continue with the 3-4 suited here. Just a little weak because the 3 and the 4 don't really play very well. Though we are in position, but if we don't make our straight, don't make our flush, then it's just not great for us. We are going to start with a raise here. I'll make it the appropriate amount this time. And we'll probably just get folded around to us again. But hey, could be worse. Ooh. So here's where I think flatting it's fine. We're in position. This guy hasn't been 3-bet crazy, so I don't think there's a ton of fold equity in 4-betting him. So we're in position, and we've got some implied odds if we flop a 7, or if the flop comes out. Like this flop, we don't feel too bad about, although we got to see... Yeah, he's making the bet big enough that with a hand like ours, it's really difficult to say if it's worth calling. I think because his 3-bet range has been so tight, we probably just have to let it go because this guy's also been fairly aggressive. Even if he doesn't have the best hand here, he's probably going to keep betting. I think you just have to fold it there, unfortunately. And the 10 even kind of is in his range. I mean, he very well could have like ace-10 suited or something else. I mean, there's just a lot of bad turn cards, a lot of bad river cards for us. I don't think you can continue in that hand. I mean, even though our 7s look so good there, I'm just not ballsy enough to continue in that hand, I don't think. Alright, this will be our final orbit here. I've been trying to keep these videos like 30 minutes, but I don't know, 30 minutes isn't even 50 hands, man. Just doesn't seem like enough. And so all of mine have gone over, but this will be our final orbit here. I also feel a little bad because I don't think this has been the most exciting session, but we did have an exciting beer made with dandelions at least. So there was that, dandelions and peach, and a blend of wood-aged beer, not barrel-aged beer. I guess by wood-aged beer, they probably just mean they put like chunks of wood in the fermenter, which you can see do, and it does sort of the same things. We talked about barrels last time. So to kind of cheat that effect, you can put chunks of wood into the fermenter to get some of that wood flavor out. You can even soak that wood in whiskey, and again, have the same thing. The benefit for that is, if they're making a ton of beer, like they tend to, these big breweries, then it's really expensive to buy lots of little barrels to do that. So instead, you can just buy a bunch of wood, chop it up, soak it in whiskey yourself, and then dump it in your big fermenters. And that's a lot cheaper than individually filling a bunch of smaller barrels. So it's possible, actually that's probably what they're talking about when they say it's blended with a wood-aged beer. Because barrel is such a hip word nowadays that I think if it was in a barrel, they would definitely be mentioning it. You could probably venture calling here, but I'm just going to lay it down. Actually, I mean, that's probably a fine call there. I don't know. No, it's definitely a fine call if all these other people are calling. We've just got great implied odds with this many people in the hand. Of course, given that flop, See, look how smart we were. We would have had the backdoor flush draw. That probably wouldn't have been good. But not much else. A really bad backdoor straight draw. And yeah, that would push us out of the hand. Although it checks around, we could have won with a stab, maybe. Maybe. Yes, I mean, this guy hasn't... I don't know. He seems to be a little timid about c-betting. A lot of flops like that he's just not taking stabs at. So I think we're a little more likely to believe him when he does c-bet. That's worth keeping in mind. Yeah, not the greatest hand selection for us this session, you can tell, because my VPIP is only 36%, which I can tell you is much less than my average. I mean, not that much less, probably, 10% less or something. And I would be playing the hands if we were getting them. I'd play a little tighter this session, though. Last hand, let's make it a good one. Sixes. Alright, we can play this. And we're going to get it folded around to us, huh? Well, it could be worse. If it folds around to us, we're up for this session, right? Or did we auto reload at some point? No, I think we did auto reload for like $1 at some point. So not really. We're down probably a little bit. Ooh, and we get to see a flop. This is close between betting and checking. I'm okay with checking here. Only because this guy is... this guy has not been too aggressive, and so I think he might let us check it down. Although when he checks, like, he's really not taking a stab at it. This is such a wet board. We could really bet at it. It's very close, but I'm just okay with checking it here. It's kind of an awkward situation because we really made our hand look so weak that, if we were in his shoes, we probably would be betting here. And I think we I'm just going to call. I mean, but he might have a hand like a 10, which is why he didn't bet. I don't know. See, this is just kind of a weird position. Oh, okay, or yeah. He hit the trips on the river. Well, anyway, not a super exciting session. You could comment about that last hand. I mean, I think we just got ourselves into a weird spot by not betting any point. And certainly, if we would have gone bet, we would have taken down that pot. So this is why I prefer to usually be a little more aggressive. We were a little tighter this time around and a little less aggressive than we normally are. I don't think this is a bad table. Really, we would just want to sit here and prey on Bolt Slayer for a while because he's just playing every hand and playing him poorly. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please comment wherever in the comments or in the forums or all that kind of good stuff. But thanks for watching. There'll be another video and another beer next week. So have a good one. Bye.